Hey guys, DJ here with another DJ Responds, and this is also an announcement video. I'm going to be on the Tony Dae live Q&A this week. So that's going to be on Wednesday, August 19th at 4 o'clock PST or Pacific Standard Time. So wherever you are, please try to account for whatever the time zone change is for where you're at. But again, it's going to be at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. On the Tony Dae channel here, the Q&A with Tony Dae. It's live, and I'll be fielding questions along with Tony Dae and discussing some entertainment industry, film, CGI related questions. And I am looking forward to seeing some of you there. Go ahead and subscribe to his channel and come into the live Q&A, and you'll get to see me and meet me, and hopefully I can answer some of your questions. I'm also going to go ahead and answer some questions right now that I've seen on a couple videos. So the first one has to do with the Blender render engine comparisons, new aged glass ones that I did. And this individual here, Shardul Shankkardas, asked me basically to give him some feedback regarding his graphics card. So he has an AMD Radeon RX 580, and he has the 8 GB version. And with his particular build, it's actually fine. These RX 580s are actually pretty good considering how old they are. And you should be able to get quite a bit of lifetime out of these if you still have one, especially the 8 GB version. I actually had one, but it was the 4 GB version that I got with my computer when I built it. And my recommendation to him was basically with his build, which this is a nice CPU. Um, this is a decent graphics card. This is a very good M.2 NVMe SSD that he has right here. Decent, gigs of RAM. And with this motherboard, he can actually fit a second dual width GPU in there. So my recommendation is basically buy another AMD GPU so you can use both together when you're doing tile-based rendering using cycles, or try to use them together when using other render engines, that kind of thing, because you can't really use an AMD and a Radeon card together right now because they have two different platforms, the OpenCL versus the OpenGL. And as far as a recommendation for which kind, it really depends on what you want to do. If you want to get an older one that was better at the time, or if you want to wait until the end of this year, in fourth quarter this year, AMD and Nvidia are supposed to be sending out their new graphics cards, which will tank the prices, hopefully, of all of the older cards. And the new ones should be much better because they're all next generation GPUs. So you'll have to kind of wait and see what happens during that time to make the best decision for you. But I would recommend sticking with AMD just for now. If it does look like the new graphics cards are looking really good, just stick with AMD. Otherwise, if you go to NVIDIA, you're not going to be able to use them together. So just keep that in mind if you decide to go with an NVIDIA card. One thing that I would recommend, if you do have, if you ask me for specific build advice, I can give that to you. I can give like an off the cuff sort of answer for you, like I just did with the last individual. But I do recommend going through this series here, understanding your computer hardware components. There are 4 different parts to this. And in the last one, I basically, based on all of the previous information, give you my recommendation for what build you should have. And go into Mac versus PC and all that kind of stuff. So if you really want to know what kind of computer you should have, or you want to know more about your computer, go to this video series here and even just listen to it in the background. You don't really have to look at all the visuals that I have in here. It is rather dry. I understand that, but you will get a lot of information, and it will help you. It will help you understand what you're using, why you're using it, what you need versus want, all that kind of stuff. I'm really glad to see that a lot of people enjoyed my 5 ways to speed up cycles in Blender 2.83 rendering video. And, thanks for the comments. And of course, I'm going to keep going with the videos. Since the last update, I have released the new tutorial series on creating a vintage cup like this here. And you're not going to do this whole scene, but you'll be learning how to make a cup. So part 1 goes through the basic concept and all that, and the basic mesh, or at least what I call the basic mesh. And right now we're up to part 3, where I show you how to do some of the texturing on the object. So this will basically take you all the way through the rendering for this object, and also to bake out your textures to use in any render engine you want. So even if you're an intermediate Blender user, or you have built something like this or made something like this before, it's worth it to go through it just so that you can see some different ways that I might do something versus the ways that you've been taught or the ways that you currently build your scenes. I also released this one here that's a help tutorial for the Archangel. So anybody who's going through the Blender Guru series of uh, beginner tutorial videos like this one here. This shows you basically how to convert your file over to Radeon ProRender. So if you wanted to know how to do that with these more basic sessions and other tutorials that are on Blender Guru and all that, I kind of go over how to do some of that in here. So make sure that you watch that if you're interested in the ProRender conversion stuff and if you're a beginner. One more thing for everybody, since I know that a lot of people on here are here because of the Radeon ProRender videos that I have. I am currently, still talking to the developers and giving them feedback and all that for the render engine. I heard from somebody that they heard from another YouTuber that ProRender was dead or something. It's not dead. It's still being worked on for the plugin for Blender. You can see right here there are people reporting issues. The more people who give feedback and let the developers know what the issues are, the better. So if you want to participate, you can go to GitHub and I can put the link in the description below, and you can go there and give your feedback or read what's going on or get weekly builds of the development builds. I wouldn't recommend using the development build as it stands today, as of 8/17, only because I tested it out this morning and over the weekend, and there were a lot of issues that I was finding, and it was almost unusable in some parts. So I wouldn't necessarily do that, but I have heard from one developer that Wednesday this week there should be a new version that's more finalized available for me to test and hopefully do a video for you guys to let you know what the updates are and if it's really going to be usable or anything like that. So you can look forward to that video when it comes out. So that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully, you guys are enticed to go over to Tony Dae's channel, subscribe, and be available or be there with us on Wednesday this week at 4 o'clock PST or Pacific Standard Time so that you can ask your questions or just hear us chat about all sorts of industry related items and issues or whatever. And I hope to see you guys there. And thanks a lot for subscribing.